Dr. Maya Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes and glanced at the clock on her computer screen. 2:30 in the morning. She had been working in the university's science lab for almost 12 hours straight, but she couldn't stop now. The rock samples from the recent Mars mission were too fascinating to leave for tomorrow. The hallway outside was completely silent except for the quiet hum of the lab equipment. Maya liked working late like this. No interruptions, no phone calls, no colleagues asking endless questions. Just her, the microscope, and the mysteries hidden inside these red rocks. From another planet. She picked up another sample with her tweezers. A small chunk of Martian soil that looked ordinary but might hold secrets about life beyond Earth. As a xenobiologist, Maya spent her days looking for signs of alien life. Most people thought her job was exciting, but the truth was, it involved a lot of boring paperwork and endless hours staring at tiny organisms. That usually turned out to be nothing special. Tonight felt different though. These samples were showing some unusual patterns under the microscope. Strange little structures that didn't quite match anything she had seen before. Maya adjusted the lens focus and leaned in closer, her heart beating a little faster with excitement. That's when she heard the footsteps. Click, click, click. Someone was walking down the hallway toward her lab. Maya frowned. The security guard usually made his rounds at midnight and 4 in the morning. Not at this time. Maybe someone else was working late too, though she couldn't imagine who would be here at this hour. The footsteps stopped right outside her door. Maya looked up from her microscope and waited. Sometimes people just walked past, but these footsteps had definitely stopped. She could see a shadow under the door, blocking the light from the hallway. Hello, she called out softly. No answer. Maya felt a little nervous now. The building was supposed to be locked except for people with special access cards. She stood up from her chair and walked toward the door, her sneakers squeaking slightly on the polished floor. The automatic door slid open with its usual quiet whoosh, and Maya's world changed forever. The person standing in her doorway was definitely not human. Maya's mouth fell open, and she took a step backward, bumping into her desk. Her coffee mug fell over, spilling cold coffee across her research notes, but she barely noticed. The being in front of her was tall, much taller than any human Maya had ever met. At least 7 feet, maybe more. Her skin had a soft blue glow, like moonlight on water, and it seemed to shimmer as she moved. She was clearly female, with a graceful build and long limbs that moved with incredible elegance. But it was her eyes that really caught Maya's attention. They were huge, much larger than human eyes, and they were the most beautiful purple color Maya had ever seen. Looking into them was like staring into deep space, full of stars and mysteries. The alien woman was wearing some kind of suit that looked like it was made from liquid light. It moved and flowed around her body like water, changing colors from silver to gold to deep blue as she breathed. Maya's scientific mind was racing, trying to process what she was seeing, while another part of her brain was simply screaming in shock. This was impossible. Aliens didn't just walk into university labs in the middle of the night. This had to be a dream. Or maybe she had fallen asleep at her desk and was having the most vivid nightmare of her life. "You're in the wrong room," Maya managed to say, though her voice came out as barely more than a whisper. Her hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the edge of her desk to steady herself. The alien woman smiled, and Maya saw that her teeth were perfectly white and seemed to glow with their own inner light. When she spoke, her voice was like music, with strange harmonies that seemed to vibrate in Maya's chest. "I know," the alien said in perfect English, though her accent was unlike anything Maya had ever heard. "But you are exactly where I need you to be, Dr. Rodriguez." Maya's legs felt weak, this being new her name. This wasn't some random encounter or case of mistaken identity. This alien had come here specifically looking for her. "How do you know my name?" Maya asked, though she wasn't sure she really wanted to hear the answer. The alien woman stepped into the lab, moving with a fluid grace that was almost hypnotic to watch. As she passed under the fluorescent lights, her skin seemed to absorb the harsh white glow and transform it into something softer and more beautiful. "We have been watching you, Dr. Rodriguez," the alien said, "you and your work. Your research into extraterrestrial life has been quite impressive. Though you have been looking in the wrong places." The automatic door slid shut behind the alien. With a soft hiss, and Maya heard the lock engage with a click that sounded ominously final. She was trapped in her own lab with a being from another world, and nobody else in the building had any idea what was happening. "Who are you?" Maya asked, surprised that her voice was getting steadier. Her initial shock was wearing off, replaced by the curiosity that had driven her to become a scientist in the first place. "My name is difficult to pronounce in your language," the alien replied, "but you may call me Zara. I am what you might call a princess, though the concept doesn't translate exactly. I am a leader of my people, the Luminari." "The Luminari," Maya repeated, testing the word. "Where are you from?" Zara gestured toward the window, beyond which the night sky was filled with stars. "We have cities throughout your solar system, Dr. Rodriguez. We have been your neighbors for a very long time, though we have remained hidden. Until now." Maya's mind was reeling. An entire alien civilization, living right here in the solar system, and humanity had no idea. It challenged everything she thought she knew about space exploration and the search for extraterrestrial life. "Why are you here?" Maya asked. "Why are you talking to me?" Zara's expression grew serious, and her glowing skin seemed to dim slightly. "Because, Dr. Rodriguez, my people are dying, and we believe you might be the key to saving us." The weight of those words settled over Maya like a heavy blanket. Whatever was about to happen next, she knew her quiet life as a university researcher was over forever. Maya stared at Zara, trying to process what she had just heard. A dying alien civilization. The key to saving them. It sounded like something from a science fiction movie, not something happening in her small university lab at 3 in the morning. "Your people are dying?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Despite her fear, her scientist brain was already asking questions. What's happening to them? Zara moved closer to Maya's workstation, her glowing form casting strange shadows. On the white walls, she looked at the scattered Mars samples on the desk, and something that might have been sadness flickered across her face. "A plague," Zara said simply. "It started small, affecting only a few of our people. But it spreads quickly, and nothing we try can stop it. Half of our population is already gone." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. She studied diseases for a living, but she had never encountered anything that could wipe out half a species. "How long has this been going on?" 3 of your years," Zara replied. "Our best scientists, our greatest minds, they have all tried to find a cure. We have technology that your people can't even imagine, medicine that can heal injuries in minutes. But this plague is different. It doesn't respond to anything we know." Maya found herself leaning forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "What are the symptoms? How does it spread?" Zara's skin dimmed further, and Maya realized this was how her people showed emotion. "It attacks our genetic structure. The very things that make us who we are. Our people become weak, lose their glow, their ability to think clearly. Eventually, they simply fade away." "That's terrible," Maya said, and she meant it. Despite everything strange about this situation, she could hear the genuine pain in Zara's voice. "But I don't understand. What does this have to do with me? I'm just a researcher studying rocks from Mars." A small smile appeared on Zara's face. "Those rocks are not just rocks, Dr. Rodriguez. Look at them again. But this time, look more carefully." Maya turned back to her microscope, her hand still shaking slightly. She adjusted the lens and peered at the samples she had been studying when Zara arrived. Under the powerful magnification, she could see the tiny structures she had noticed before. But now, with Zara's words in her mind, they looked different. "These aren't natural formations," Maya breathed. "They're too organized, too perfect." "Exactly," Zara said, moving to stand beside Maya. This close, Maya could feel a strange warmth radiating from the alien's skin. "Those are markers, Dr. Rodriguez. Biological signatures that we placed there centuries ago." Maya looked up from the microscope, Her eyes wide. You put these in the Mars soil. But why? To test your species, Zara explained. We wanted to see how advanced your science had become, whether you were ready to know about us. When we saw that you could detect and study these markers, we knew it was time to make contact. Maya's mind was racing. Everything she thought she knew about space exploration, about humanity's place in the universe, was being turned upside down. How long have you been watching us? Centuries, Zara said. We have been curious about your people for a very long time. You're unique in the galaxy. Unique how? Zara paused, as if trying to find the right words. Your species has something special in your genetic makeup, a resilience, ability to adapt and survive that most other species don't possess. Our scientists believe this quality might be the key to defeating our plague. Maya felt a cold knot forming in her stomach. You want to study humans, run experiments on us? No, Zara said quickly, her skin brightening with what Maya was learning. To recognize his urgency, we would never harm your people. But we need to understand your biology, to learn how your genetic structure gives you this strength. We believe that by combining our knowledge with yours, we can create a cure. Maya walked away from the microscope, her mind spinning. This was beyond anything she had ever imagined. An alien species asking for humanity's help to save themselves. It was the kind of decision that should be made by world leaders, not by one tired researcher working alone in a lab. Why me? Maya asked. Why didn't you contact our governments, the United Nations, someone with actual authority? Zara's expression grew serious. Because governments are slow. Dr. Rodriguez. They argue. They debate. They form committees. My people don't have time for that. We need someone who understands science, who can work quickly, who isn't afraid to take risks. But I'm nobody special, Maya protested. I'm just a university professor who studies microbes. You are exactly what we need. Zara said firmly. Your research into extremophile bacteria, your work on genetic adaptation in harsh environments, your published papers on evolutionary biology, we have been following your career for years. Maya felt overwhelmed. The weight of what Zara was asking seemed impossible to bear. What exactly are you asking me to do? Come with me. Zara said simply, come to our research station. Work with our scientists. Help us understand what makes your species so resilient. Help us save my people. Maya stared at her, speechless. Leave Earth. Travel to an alien research station. Work with beings from another world. It was insane. It was impossible. It was dangerous beyond imagination. But it was also the greatest opportunity in human history. I need time to think, Maya said finally. Zara's skin dimmed again. Time is something we don't have much of. Dr. Rodriguez, every day we delay, more of my people die. But I understand this is a big decision. Maya looked around her lab, at the equipment she had worked with for years, at the research that had been her whole life. Then she looked at Zara, this beautiful, desperate being who had traveled across the solar system to ask for her help. If I say yes, Maya said slowly, if I agree to help you, what happens to Earth? What happens to my people? Nothing bad, Zara promised. We have no interest in conquering your world or harming your species. We simply want to survive. And we hope that by working together, both our peoples can benefit. Maya took a deep breath. Every logical part of her mind was screaming that this was crazy, that she should call the authorities, that she should run as far away as possible. But another part of her, the part that had always been fascinated by the unknown, was already imagining the incredible discoveries that awaited. How long would I be gone? She asked. A few weeks, perhaps a month, Zara replied. Long enough to understand the problem and hopefully find a solution. Maya closed her eyes, thinking of all the reasons she should say no. Then she opened them and looked at Zara's hopeful face. Okay, she said quietly. I'll help you. Zara's entire body brightened with joy, filling the lab with warm, golden light. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, she said. You may have just saved 2 worlds. Maya had exactly 30 minutes to pack her life into a single bag. 30 minutes to decide what a person brings when they're about to leave Earth. For the first time in human history, She stood in her small apartment, staring at her closet, feeling completely lost. What do you wear to an alien research station? Her hand shook as she threw some clothes into her travel bag, along with her laptop, phone charger, and a few personal items that suddenly seemed incredibly important. A photo of her parents, her lucky pen from graduate school, the small cactus plant that had somehow survived 5 years of her terrible plant care. These tiny pieces of her human life felt like lifelines she couldn't bear to leave behind. Zara waited patiently by the window, her glowing form casting soft light across Maya's living room. She had insisted they leave immediately, before Maya could change her mind or before anyone else discovered what was happening. "Are you ready, Dr. Rodriguez?" Zara asked gently. Maya zipped up her bag and looked around her apartment one more time. Everything looked so normal, so ordinary. Her coffee mug still sat in the sink from yesterday morning. Her mail was scattered on the kitchen counter. It was hard to believe that in a few hours, she would be farther from home than any human had ever traveled. "I think so," Maya said, though she definitely didn't feel ready. They walked outside into the cool night air. The university campus was completely empty, streetlights casting long shadows across the sidewalks. Maya had walked this path thousands of times, but tonight it felt different, like she was seeing it for the last time. "Where's your ship?" Maya asked, looking around the empty parking lot. Zara smiled and raised her hand. The air in front of them began to shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Slowly, a shape began to appear, as if someone was erasing an invisible wall. Maya's breath caught in her throat. The ship was beautiful beyond anything she could have imagined. It looked like it was made from crystallized light, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. The surface reflected the stars above, making it seem like a piece of the night sky had come down to Earth. "It was here the whole time?" Maya asked in amazement. "Our ships can bend light around them," Zara explained. "Your people call it invisibility, but it's more like convincing light to look somewhere else." A doorway appeared in the side of the ship, opening silently to reveal a soft blue glow from within. Maya hesitated at the threshold. Once she stepped inside, there would be no going back. Her normal life, her quiet existence as a university researcher, would be over forever. "It's okay to be afraid," Zara said softly. "I was terrified the first time I traveled far from home too." Maya took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior of the ship was unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls seemed to be alive, pulsing gently with bioluminescent patterns that shifted and changed as she watched. There were no sharp corners, no harsh lines. Everything flowed together in organic curves that made Maya feel like she was inside a living creature rather than a machine. "This is incredible," Maya whispered, running her hand along a wall that felt warm and smooth under her touch. "Thank you," Zara said. "We grow our ships rather than building them. They're partially alive, which makes them better companions for long journeys." Maya felt the ship respond to her touch, the wall brightening slightly where her fingers made contact. It was like the ship was saying hello. "How fast can this thing go?" Maya asked. "Fast enough," Zara replied with a mysterious smile. "We should reach the research station in 3 days. 3 days to travel to Jupiter." Maya did the math in her head and felt dizzy. At that speed, they would be moving faster than anything humans had ever built, faster than anything humans had ever dreamed possible. The ship lifted off so smoothly that Maya barely felt it through the transparent walls. She watched the Earth grow smaller below them. First, the university campus disappeared, then the city. Then the whole continent became just a patch of light on a blue and green marble floating in space. Maya had seen pictures of Earth from space before, but seeing it with her own eyes was completely different. It looked so small, so fragile, so alone in the vast darkness. For the first time, she truly understood how big the universe was and how tiny her home planet really was in comparison. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Yes," Zara agreed. "We have observed your world for centuries, but it never stops being beautiful to us. Your planet is unique, Dr. Rodriguez. Most worlds are either too hot or too cold, too dry or too wet. Earth is perfectly balanced for life as they travel deeper into space. Zara told Maya more about her people. The Luminari had been exploring the galaxy for thousands of years, always searching for new knowledge and new forms of life. They had built cities on moons and asteroids throughout the solar system, hidden from human observation but always watching, always learning. We've been waiting for your species to be ready for contact, Zara explained. Many civilizations destroy themselves before they learn to travel among the stars. We wanted to be sure your people had the wisdom to handle the knowledge that you're not alone. Maya learned that the Luminari were peaceful by nature. They had eliminated war from their society long ago, choosing instead to focus on art, science, and philosophy. Their technology was so advanced that they could manipulate matter at the molecular level, create energy from nothing, and heal almost any injury or disease. Almost any disease. The plague is different, Zara said, her glow dimming as she spoke. About it, it seems to target the very genetic modifications that made us a peaceful species. The more advanced our people are, the more quickly the disease affects them. That's why you need human genetics, Maya realized. We're primitive compared to you, but that might be exactly what you need, exactly. Zara confirmed, your people have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and countless other disasters through adaptation and genetic diversity. We have become too specialized to perfect. We lost the raw survival instincts that might help us fight this disease. On the second day of their journey, Maya got her first look at a Luminari city. Built into an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter, it looked like a glowing flower blooming in the darkness of space. Thousands of Luminari moved through its transparent tunnels, their bioluminescent bodies creating a beautiful light show against the stars. But Maya could see the signs of the plague. Even from a distance, parts of the city that should have been bright with activity were dim and empty. The beautiful patterns of light that should have danced through the tunnels moved slowly. Weakly, how many people live there? Maya asked. Used to live there. Zara corrected sadly. Before the plague. That city housed 50,000 of my people. Now, perhaps 20,000 remain. Maya felt a weight settle in her chest. 20,000 people dead from a single city. And this was happening throughout their entire civilization. The scale of the tragedy was overwhelming. On the third day, they reached their destination. The research station orbiting Jupiter was massive, easily the size of a small city. It looked like a crystalline flower with dozens of petals spreading out into space, each one glowing with its own inner light. As their ship approached the docking bay, Maya could see other vessels coming and going. Scientists and researchers from throughout the Luminari Empire, all working desperately to find a cure for their dying people. Are you ready, Dr. Rodriguez? Zara asked as they prepared to dock. Maya looked out at the research station, at the alien scientists who were counting on her to help save their species, at the technology that could change everything humanity thought it knew about the universe. No, she said honestly, but let's do this anyway. The ship settled into the docking bay with barely a whisper, and Maya prepared to step into a world where she was no longer just a small-town researcher, but possibly the key to saving an entire civilization. Maya's first week at the research station passed in a blur of discoveries that left her head spinning. The Luminari laboratory made her university facilities look like Stone Age tools, equipment that could analyze DNA in seconds, machines that could create new compounds just by thinking about them, computers that seemed to understand what she wanted before she even asked. But it was the scientists themselves that amazed Maya the most. They worked with a dedication she had never seen before, fueled by the knowledge that every hour they spent could mean the difference between life and death for their people. Some of them had been working for months without rest, their glowing skin dim with exhaustion. Dr. Keth was Maya's main partner in the research. He had been one of the Luminary's leading disease specialists before the plague struck, and now he was one of their last hopes. His skin, which should have been bright blue like Zara's, had faded to a pale gray. The plague was affecting him too, though he tried to hide it. Your blood samples are remarkable, Keth told Maya on their 7th day working together. His voice was weaker than it had been when they first met, but his excitement was genuine. The genetic diversity is unlike anything we've seen. Your immune system has adaptations that took our people thousands of years to develop. Maya watched him struggle to lift a simple data tablet, and her heart sank. Keth was one of the smartest beings she had ever met, but the plague was slowly stealing his strength, his brilliance, his very life. How long do you have? Maya asked gently. Keth managed a weak smile. Weeks, perhaps days. But that's enough time to finish this work, if we're lucky. They had made incredible progress. Working together, Maya and the Luminari team had identified the specific human genetic sequences that seemed to provide resistance to the plague. More importantly, they had figured out how to synthesize a treatment that could stop the disease's progression. Maya had volunteered to be the test subject for their early experiments, allowing them to take blood samples, tissue samples, even bone marrow. It wasn't painful, thanks to Luminari medical technology, but it was exhausting. Some days she felt like she had donated half her body to science. The breakthrough came on the 10th day. Maya was working late in the lab, analyzing the latest test results, when Keth burst through the door with more energy than she had seen from him in days. "It works," he shouted, his skin brightening for the first time since Maya had met him. "The treatment works. We tested it on volunteers in the early stages of the plague, and the disease stopped completely." Maya felt a rush of joy and relief that made her legs weak. They had done it. They had actually found a cure for a disease that had been killing an entire civilization. She wanted to laugh, cry, and dance all at the same time. But Keth's expression quickly grew serious again. "There's something else, something I need to tell you." Maya felt her stomach drop. In her experience, conversations that started like that never ended well. "The cure works," Keth continued, "but it's not permanent. The treatment needs to be renewed every few months, and each renewal requires fresh human genetic material." Maya stared at him, the implication slowly sinking in. "You mean I would have to stay here permanently? Keep donating blood and tissue for the rest of my life?" "Not just you," Keth said quietly. "To treat our entire population, we would need dozens of human donors, maybe hundreds. We would need your people to come here, to work with us, to help us stay alive." Maya felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. This wasn't just about saving the Luminari anymore. This was about fundamentally changing the relationship between two species forever. "You want to turn humans into medicine," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "No," Keth said quickly. "We would never force anyone. We would ask for volunteers, people who choose to help us, and in return, we would share everything we know. Our technology, our science, our knowledge of the galaxy. Your people would benefit as much as ours." Maya walked to the observation window and looked out at Jupiter's swirling storms. The massive planet filled half the sky, its bands of color shifting and changing like a living thing. She thought about Earth, so far away, so small and fragile compared to the wonders she had seen here. "What if we say no?" Maya asked. "What if humanity decides the risk is too great?" Keth was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with sadness. "Then my people die, all of us, within months. The Luminari will be extinct." Maya turned back to face him. "And if we say yes, if we agree to help you permanently, then both our species survive and grow stronger together. Your people would have access to technology that could solve your energy problems, cure your diseases, even help you explore other worlds. But you would also have the knowledge that an entire civilization depends on your continued cooperation." Maya sat down heavily in her chair. The weight of the decision was crushing. She was just one person, a university researcher who had stumbled into the most important choice in human history. How could she possibly decide something that would affect both species? "For generations to come, there's something else you should know," Keth said softly. "The situation is worse than we originally told you. The plague has accelerated. We don't have weeks anymore. We have days." Maya looked at him in shock. "Days? But you said weeks when I first arrived. We were hoping the research would go faster, that we would find a simpler solution. But the disease is mutating, becoming stronger. Some of our cities have lost communication entirely. We believe they may already be gone. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. Entire cities, millions of beings, just gone. The scale of the tragedy was beyond anything humanity had ever experienced. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" she asked. "Because we needed you to work without despair," Keth admitted. "Fear makes bad science. But now that we have a cure, you need to know the truth. We have perhaps 3 days to begin treatment, or it will be too late for most of our people." Maya looked around the lab, at the equipment that represented the pinnacle of alien science, at the research that could save or doom an entire species. Then she looked at Keth, this brilliant, dying being who had become her friend and partner. "If I agree to this," Maya said slowly, "if I recommend that my people help you permanently, how do I know you won't become dependent on us? How do I know this partnership will really be equal?" Keth's skin brightened slightly, and Maya realized he was relieved that she was even considering it. "Because we have no choice but to make it equal. Without your help, we die. With your help, we live, but only as long as you choose to help us. That makes your people the stronger partners. Not us." Maya nodded slowly. It was a strange kind of power, being needed so desperately by a civilization that was thousands of years more advanced than humanity. But it was also an incredible responsibility. "I need to contact Earth," Maya said finally. "This decision is too big for one person to make." "Of course," Keth agreed. "But Maya, please remember, every hour we delay, more of my people die. Time is something we no longer have." Maya looked out at Jupiter again, its ancient storms continuing their endless dance. Somewhere out there, Earth was a tiny blue dot in the darkness, home to 7 billion people who had no idea their lives were about to change forever. The future of 2 civilizations hung in the balance, and Maya was the one who had to tip the scales. Maya spent a sleepless night staring at the communication device Zara had given her. It looked like a small crystal, but Zara had assured her it could send a message all the way back to Earth. In minutes, 2 nights of holding the future of 2 civilizations in her hands, knowing that whatever she said next would change everything forever. Dr. Keth was getting worse. His skin had faded to almost white, and he could barely stand for more than a few minutes at a time. Other scientists on the station were collapsing at their workstations. Maya could see the desperation in Zara's eyes every time they met in the corridors. On the 3rd night, Maya made her choice. She activated the crystal and watched as a holographic screen appeared in front of her. Within minutes, she was looking at Dr. James Park, the head of her university's science department, sitting in his office back on Earth. His eyes went wide when he saw her floating in what was obviously an alien environment. "Maya," he stammered. "Where are you? We've been looking for you for 2 weeks. The police think you've been kidnapped." Maya took a deep breath. "Dr. Park, I need you to listen very carefully. I'm going to tell you something that will sound impossible, but I need you to believe me." Over the next hour, Maya explained everything. The midnight encounter in her lab, the journey to the research station, the plague that was destroying an entire civilization, and the choice that now faced humanity. Dr. Park's expression changed from disbelief to shock to something approaching panic as the full scope of the situation became clear. "You're saying there are aliens living in our solar system?" Dr. Park asked for the 3rd time. "Not just living here," Maya replied. "They've been our neighbors for centuries, watching us, waiting for us to be ready for contact, and now they need our help to survive." Dr. Park was quiet for a long moment, staring at the alien technology visible behind Maya. "What exactly are they asking us to do?" Maya explained about the genetic treatments, the need for ongoing human participation, and the incredible technology the Luminari were offering in return. As she spoke, she could see Dr. Park's scientific mind working, weighing the possibilities and the dangers. "This is beyond anything I can decide," Dr. Park said finally. "This needs to go to the highest levels of government, the United Nations, world leaders." "There's no time for that," Maya said urgently. "Dr. Park, they're dying right now. Every day we delay, thousands more of them die. We have maybe 24 hours to start the treatments, or it will be too late for most of their population. Dr. Park rubbed his temples, looking like a man who had been asked to solve an impossible puzzle. Maya, even if I wanted to help, how could we possibly organize something like this in 24 hours? We'd need volunteers, medical clearances, international agreements. Start small, Maya suggested. Find a dozen volunteers from our university, people who understand the science and are willing to take the risk. Use them to prove the treatment works. Once world leaders see the results, they'll understand what's at stake. What happened next was the most intense day in human history. Though most of the world didn't know it yet, Dr. Park worked his contacts in the scientific community, reaching out to researchers who had worked with Maya, people who trusted her judgment and understood the implications of her discoveries. Within 12 hours, they had found 15 volunteers, doctors, researchers, graduate students who were willing to travel to an alien research station to help save a dying civilization. Maya watched through the communication device as these brave humans prepared for a journey that would change their lives forever. Zara dispatched 3 ships to Earth, each one invisible to human detection systems. The volunteers were picked up from secret locations around the world and brought to the research station. Maya was there to greet each one as they arrived, seeing her own amazement and terror reflected in their faces as they took their first steps into an alien world. Dr. Lisa Chen, a genetic researcher from Tokyo, was the first to volunteer for the treatment protocol. Maya held her hand as the Luminari medical team began the process of extracting the genetic material they needed. It was painless, thanks to their advanced technology. But Maya could see the fear in Lisa's eyes. Are we doing the right thing? Lisa whispered as the extraction began. Maya looked around the medical bay, at the Luminari scientist whose skin was glowing brighter with hope than she had seen in weeks, at Dr. Keth who was finally receiving the treatment that might save his life. Yes, Maya said with certainty, we're doing the right thing. The results were immediate and dramatic. Within hours of receiving the treatment, the dying Luminari began to recover. Their skin brightened, their strength returned. Their brilliant minds cleared of the fog that had been clouding them for months. Dr. Keth was back to his old self within a day, working with renewed energy to coordinate treatments for the rest of his people. But Maya knew this was just the beginning. Word of the miraculous cure spread throughout the Luminari Empire, and soon ships were arriving from every corner of the solar system, carrying thousands of patients who needed treatment. The 15 human volunteers found themselves working around the clock, donating genetic material and helping to coordinate the massive relief effort. It was exhausting work, but Maya could see the satisfaction in their faces. They were saving lives on a scale that no humans had ever imagined possible. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Dr. Park was working to prepare world leaders for the revelation that was coming. The secret couldn't be kept much longer. Too many people were involved now. Too many ships were moving through the solar system. The official first contact happened 3 weeks later. Zara herself traveled to Earth, landing her ship on the front lawn of the United Nations building in New York. The world watched in amazement as she emerged from her crystalline vessel, her skin glowing with health and gratitude. The speech she gave to the assembled world leaders was simple and direct. She explained her people's situation, the help they had received from humanity, and the partnership they were offering in return. Advanced medical technology that could cure cancer and genetic diseases, clean energy systems that could end humanity's dependence on fossil fuels, space travel technology that could take humans to other star systems. The initial reaction was panic, of course. Some governments wanted to capture the aliens and steal their technology. Others wanted to hide from them entirely. But as the benefits of the partnership became clear, as Luminari medical technology began curing diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries, opposition gradually faded. Maya found herself appointed as Earth's first ambassador to the Luminari Empire. She split her time between the research station and a new joint facility that was built on the moon, serving as a center for cooperation between the two species. Years passed. The partnership between humans and Luminari grew stronger with each passing day. Human volunteers continued to provide the genetic material needed to keep the Luminari healthy, while Luminari technology helped solve many of Earth's most pressing problems. Climate change, disease, poverty, even war began to fade as the two species worked together. Maya often stood in the observation deck of the lunar facility, looking out at Earth rising over the moon's horizon. It was still the same beautiful blue and green world she had grown up on, but everything had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. They had found their place as part of a larger galactic community. Do you ever regret it? Zara asked one day, joining Maya at the observation window. The alien princess had become one of Maya's closest friends over the years, and she often visited the lunar facility. Maya smiled, thinking of all the lives they had saved, all the discoveries they had made, all the wonders that awaited humanity. Among the stars, her hair was streaked with gray now, and there were lines around her eyes from years of working under alien suns. But she had never felt more fulfilled. Never, Maya said firmly. That night when you walked into my lab, I thought my life was ending, but it was really just beginning. Through the transparent walls of the facility, they could see the lights of human and Luminari settlements spreading across the lunar surface. Construction crews from both species working together to build something neither could have accomplished alone. Thank you, Zara said quietly, for trusting us, for believing that two different species could work together. Maya reached out and took her friend's glowing hand. Thank you for taking the risk to find us, for showing us that we're not alone. As they watched, a ship launched from the lunar surface, carrying a mixed crew of humans and Luminari on a mission to explore a distant star system. It was the first of many such missions, as the two species began to explore the galaxy together. Maya thought back to that night in her lab, when she had told an alien princess that she was in the wrong room. It turned out Zara had been in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Sometimes the most important moments in history begin with the simplest encounters. The future stretched out before them, full of infinite possibilities and shared dreams among the stars.